Hello people of YouTube, my name is Brad, this is my channel Anime Orange, and welcome to a sort of Y-Wing supplement video. Recently published a part 1 and part 2 of this Y-Wing build. Been talking quite a bit about it lately, at least I feel like I have. And I was working on the review video, which is up already, and I noticed that I had made an error in the build, and I thought for the review video I recorded myself basically fixing that error, and I kind of wanted to make a separate video on that tiny little error and a short clip of how I fixed it. Part of that is just so I can say, hey, to everybody who's seen the video, there was an area I made a mistake, this is what I did wrong, this is how I fixed it, but also because occasionally that does happen with Metal Earth builds. I do occasionally make mistakes. I think all of us do. Maybe put a part on wrong, backwards, or in the wrong place. And with some experience, you learn how to correct those mistakes, things that you can and can't do. And I've never really made a video on fixing errors, and I thought this might be a decent chance to do that. So what I've got here, just a second, is a video clip of where I had kind of redone the rear section. I'll show you a close-up clip of before of what this looked like. And basically what happened is during the review video, there's supposed to be a couple of round parts on the back, and if you look very closely in this clip, you can kind of see the top edge of them underneath another part, underneath that part that kind of goes around down the sides. What happens, I put that part on incorrectly, and that's the part that I had trouble with shaping those three little strips of metal. Talked about that in the review. And what basically I was able to do is take that entire back panel off. So there's only 4 tabs holding it on. I was able to, carefully untwist those tabs, pop that off, carefully untwist the tabs holding that strip on, pop it off, flip it over, and put it back on. And I made a condensed version of that clip for the review video. I'm going to show in a little bit more detail, actually probably all detail, of how I made that correction, so that you can see kind of an example of a situation where I've had to go back and change and fix things. In this situation, it was really easy. It was just a matter of untwisting some tabs and redoing the parts, pulling them apart and redoing them. Nothing got caught, nothing presented a problem. It was easy going. Sometimes when it comes to unfolding or refolding stuff, you run into a lot more potential of things breaking, or if the tabs are twisted super tightly, then it's difficult to untwist them. And over time I've learned, if it's not something that has to be super twisted or twisted super tight to hold it secure, not to twist it super tight, just twist it enough, because then it's easier to make corrections if you've made a mistake. But this is an example of a fairly easy situation of where you can go back and fix it, and in the end you'll be able to see what exactly I did wrong and what it's supposed to look like. First thing we need to do is unfold the 4 tabs holding on this rear panel. Of course, being careful not to damage anything. Now to use the tweezers to pry the part off, again being careful not to cause damage. Something was still partially holding the back panel on. I switched to the tweezers with the finer point. Now that the part is off, let's straighten the tabs a bit more. Now to examine the back to figure out which tabs I will need to untwist. And now to carefully pry this part off. I will now take a moment to flatten these tabs back out. We can now put things back together the right way. Since I took the time to straighten the tabs back out, the assembly should slide back over the tabs fairly easily. The upper tabs are a bit tougher to get to now that parts are on the right way. And I'm pushing the tabs over a bit more to try and clean up the look. And there you go, the rear looks a lot more like it's supposed to look. You can see those two circular pieces now. I'll show you a clip of a close-up of the back end. I originally thought that I had forgot to put those two round pieces on. I had put them on and covered them up by mistake and thought I was going to have to fold and add them on. It was just a matter of flipping that one part around. As you can see, it was a very simple process and everything's back together and looking good. So there are times you may find yourself having to undo a part and put it back together. It helps if you a lot of times if you twist tabs, always twist them in the same direction, so you always know to untwist them in the same direction. Or if you've got a microscope, look really carefully to see which way that tab is twisted so you know which way to untwist it. Once you've got the parts apart, it can help to kind of straighten the tabs out even more so that things go back together easier. There's something to be said for not twisting tabs too far. When it comes to bent tabs or just rounded over tabs, those are a lot easier to undo. You've done less damage to the tabs, so things will pop apart and back together more easily. So I hope this helps if you've ever had problems and need to redo stuff. This is just one method. And as far as getting the Y-wing right, if you've already watched the two videos and wondered why I got that part wrong, I make mistakes too. I'll leave it at that. Thank you for watching. Always thank you to my Patreon supporters for supporting this channel. And as always, keep on keeping on.